Day 1. The Arrival. It was a day like no other. The sky split open, and a blinding light shone down upon the earth. People everywhere looked up in awe and wonder as they witnessed a sight they could hardly believe. Angels descended from the heavens, their wings outstretched, and their faces radiant with divine light. News outlets around the world scrambled to cover the event, broadcasting live footage of the celestial beings making their way to the earth. The entire world seemed to hold its breath as humanity awaited the message that the angels had come to deliver. In every corner of the globe, people gathered in streets and squares, watching in disbelief as the angels landed on earth. Some fell to their knees in prayer, while others stood frozen in shock and fear. The arrival of the angels was a moment that would be etched in the memories of all who witnessed it. As the angels touched down on the earth, a hush fell over the crowd. The air was charged with a sense of anticipation and dread as everyone waited to hear what message the heavenly messengers had come to deliver. One by one, the angels began to speak, their voices clear and powerful. They spoke of a reckoning that was to come, a judgment day when humanity would be tested and divided. Those who had lived a life of virtue and compassion would be granted entry into the gates of heaven, while those who had strayed from the path of righteousness would be condemned to eternal damnation. The world watched in awe as the angels delivered their message, their words echoing across the earth like a thunderclap. The sky above seemed to tremble with the weight of their pronouncement, and a sense of solemnity descended upon all who heard. And so, on that fateful day, the world was forever changed.
Day 2. The Rapture of the Children. The angels spoken as the first to go shall be children and infants, for all parent to willingly hand over their child, believing they were sending them to a better place. The playgrounds emptied, schools closed, and the laughter of children faded. The angels promised safety, love, and eternal bliss. Who wouldn't want that for their little ones? I watched from the window as Emily played in the backyard, her laughter like music to my ears. My heart ached, with a mixture of pride and fear as I saw the innocence in her eyes, knowing that the angels had come for the children, and my precious daughter would soon be called upon. When my husband Michael and I approached Emily with the news, her eyes widened with fear and confusion.
"Mommy, I don't want to go."
She shook her head defiantly, refusing to leave our side. I could see the turmoil in her young heart, torn between her love for us and the unknown fate that awaited her in the heavens. Tears welled up in my eyes as I looked down at my daughter, her small hand clutching mine tightly. I struggled to contain my emotions, torn between my desire to protect Emily and my own fears of what the judgment day would bring. Michael too grappled with his emotions, his resolve wavering as he looked at our precious child. In the end, we made a decision that went against everything the angels had decreed. We could not bear to let Emily go, not when she refused to leave our side. Together, we stood in defiance of the heavenly messengers, our family united in love and determination. As the angels looked on, their faces inscrutable and unmoving, we made a silent vow. We would wait for the day when we could all go together as a family into the gates of heaven. And until that day came, we would cherish every moment we had together.
Day 3. The Rapture of the Sick and Elderly. As the days passed since the arrival of the angels, a sense of anticipation and trepidation filled my heart. The judgment day drew nearer, and the sick and elderly were now the next to be chosen to ascend into the heavens. I lay in my hospital bed, my body frail and weak, my mind filled with memories of a lifetime filled with regret and missed opportunities. I thought back to my children, grown and distant, their faces fading from my memory as the years passed. I had lost touch with them long ago, my relationships strained and broken beyond repair. And as I lay in my hospital room, surrounded by the quiet hum of machines and the sterile scent of antiseptic, I found myself consumed by a sense of longing for the family I had lost. But the arrival of the angels brought with it a glimmer of hope. I knew that my time had come, that I would soon be reunited with my loved ones in the heavens above. With a newfound sense of purpose, I mustered all my strength and determination, determined to make my way to the angels and be chosen for the rapture. With each labored breath, I pushed myself to my feet, my legs trembling beneath me as I made my way through the hospital corridors. The sound of my footsteps echoed in the empty halls, a stark reminder of the emptiness that lay within my own heart. As I emerged into the bustling streets of the city, I was met with a scene of chaos and despair, the world around me crumbling under the weight of its own sins. But I pressed on, my eyes fixed on the distant figures of the angels, their radiant forms beckoning me closer. As I drew nearer, a sense of peace washed over me, a feeling of acceptance and forgiveness that I had longed for all my life. With a final burst of energy, I reached out a trembling hand to the angels, my heart overflowing with gratitude and hope. And then, in a blaze of light and glory, I was lifted into the heavens above. As I soared through the sky, I felt a sense of liberation and joy. I was finally going to be coming home, reunited with my loved ones at last.
Day 4. The remains. After all the children, the elderly and the sick was taken, humanity population dropped. It's now time for the rest of the world to find out their fate amongst the heavens. At this rate, my heart started to race in anticipation, wondering to myself, what about the rest of us? What about me? How do I know if I'm worthy, if I'm chosen? It was clear I wasn't the only one with those thoughts. The rest of humanity pressed forward, as a desperate tide, the population dropping. It was finally time for the rest of humanity to be judged. Some begged, others fought, clawing at the edges of the rift. The chosen ones floated upward, robes billowing, their faces serene. But the rest of us, those left behind, were consumed by envy and longing. We'd do anything to ascend. And in that very moment, one of the angels looked towards me. I welt this unexplainable feeling that embraced me. A slight whisper. You have been chosen, child. My heart swimming with joy and relief. I hesitated. The angel's eyes held promises, peace, reunion, purpose. The pull was irresistible. I stepped forward, craving absolution. Their wings brushed my skin, and I closed my eyes, ready to be raptured. But as their grip tightened, I hear commotion down below. A frustrated man storming through the crowd of people, yelling and bashing the angels, ranting on how he is yet to be chosen. Others in anger argued back with the man as others agreed. The situation turns chaotic as a fight breaks out. People screams, fist being thrown. Desperate people who fears their fate. The angel stands above with no emotions at all to what has taken place. It wasn't till the same man who had started the fight pulls out a gun and shot the man he was brawling with. The crowd got silent, shocked at what just occurred. People looked towards the angels for a response. The shooter eyes widen as he realized what he had done, possibly sealing his fate. But instead the angels lifted the man from his feet. You have been chosen, child. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, as the victim bled out. The killer himself was being raptured above him. The crowd became angry, and in an uproar they began shouting, screaming at what they'd just witnessed. How could this man kill in cold blood and be accepted as a reward? It just didn't make any sense. I then started to get this weird feeling, a feeling of dread. I then glimpsed something beneath their celestial facade, a hunger, a malevolence. As I gotten further inside, the final chapter unfolded in darkness. As I crossed the threshold, the illusion shattered. The golden light dimmed, revealing grotesque forms beneath. All I see was torn flesh and half-eaten bodies of what once belonged to the same children and elderly that was floating to the heavens days prior. Loose limbs and skulls were scattered across. Screams could be heard echoing from afar as they are being ripped apart and devoured. These creatures were no angels. They were shapeshifters, ancient beings who fed on human belief. their true forms twisted and writhed, their mouths filled with rows of serrated teeth. They laughed, a sound like breaking glass, as they closed in. I stumbled backward, horror gripping my heart. The gate slammed shut, sealing my fate. The sky turned crimson, and the ground trembled. The demons revealed their true purpose, not salvation, but consumption. Humanity's faith had lured us into their trap. We were their feast, our bodies' sustenance for their insatiable hunger. Now, I wander this hellish realm, my skin stretched thin over bones. The other chosen ones writhe in agony, their screams echoing through eternity. I am no longer Emily the reporter. I am just another meal for the malevolent entities that deceived us all. The sky closed, sealing our fate. We were bait, lured by our own beliefs. The angels weren't messengers, they were predators. Their feast began, the flesh of the chosen, the innocent, and the desperate alike. I watched, my soul shivering, as they devoured us.